Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Well, hello, good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Fox, here on the show this evening. Is our Robert and Jim. How we doing, gentlemen?
Evening, Ox. Evening, Jim. Good to be on here today.
Evening, Ox. Evening, Robert.
Yes. How we doing, Robert? How's things, mate?
Aye, not bad, mate. Not bad. Bit of a different feeling coming off a win, mate, I'll be honest. But aye, I'm alright.
Aye. It's amazing what you do when you shoot, Jim, innit?
Oh, aye. aye. Yeah, we could have had a few more goals. It's just good to get back onto here. I had a wee bit under the weather there for the last maybe 10 days or something. Feel a wee bit better now, but the Rangers winning kind of helps as well, doesn't it?
Of course, mate. You'll be getting your letter for HR for attendance, Robert, won't you? You know the rules.
Oh, aye. Got to stick by the rules, Jim.
I know that. I've had a chap at the door.
Fox will be coming to interview you. Well, you don't want to chap at the door. That's Big Stevie in Southside.
all our friends.
Aye, Jim, obviously, I'm glad you and the missus have bounced back for your event there in the last couple of weeks. But listen, mate, what's your take on what's happening at the club and how it's gone and your general thoughts, mate?
Well, I'm probably like everybody else. I felt it was going to end before now. But the Americans have come in. Again, I had a wee feeling that it was maybe going to get a tune out of them at the weekend there. It kind of got the same kind of vibe at the Celtic thing. But again, I feel I'm not really happy with the football we're watching. But I do feel the games that we've dropped points in, we could have won them. Motherwell 1-0 up with 2 minutes to go. Game should have been seen out. Dundee game at Ibrox probably should have been won in the end up. St Mirren at Love Street should have been won at the end up. Celtic never put much into it, but we didn't look as if we were going to lose it. Then the Hearts game, the way I look upon it is we could have been 3-1 up before we went 2-0 down. Then at the weekend he gets a tune. Strange how he gets a tune every time the Americans are in the building. That's just where I'm with him now. Again, I'm not happy with him.
If that's the case, mate, they better get them every week. Get them out every week.
Well, get them every week. I thought Hibs were very, very poor at the weekend there. I was a bit surprised with them. I thought they would have put a better show on than what Hearts did.
Do you think that for most of the game, apart from the couple of efforts and couple of Robert with us then, we did control the game, even in the first half without creating a lot, bizarrely when we scored 2 goals. It sounds daft that you don't create a lot in the first half, score 2 goals, create a lot in the second half and don't score any. But we sort of controlled the ball. We looked a bit more controlled. There was a bit more better ball retention. We moved it a bit quicker and we get into better areas. Yeah, that was, we had, for a lot of the game, we had Hibs chasing shadows. I'm not saying we were brilliant, Robert, don't get me wrong, but we were better.
No, you're right, mate. Maybe I would sum it up, mate. It was a good performance, and it's obviously a lot easier to say it's a good performance based on what we've seen recently. But as you said, it was more structured, more control. I felt that was brought because we had players in natural positions. There was a balance to the side. The likes of Cornelius, left centre back, Suter going to the right, allowed you to move the ball quicker. Gassama back on the left. Raskin coming back into the fold obviously plays a big part. And obviously it was almost written that he would have a say in the game somehow. But no, we did look control. As Jim said, I was a bit surprised by Hibs' approach to the game as well. They did have a few chances where on another day you'd maybe expect them to take a couple. The header being one of the ones that stands out for me is one you maybe thought would have been in the back of the net. We also got a break with the VAR decisions, but you're right, mate, we controlled it. And as Jim kind of says, same as the Celtic game, we didn't look like we were going to lose it on Saturday, which I think was a surprise to us all, if I'm being honest.
Aye, I get that on the back of the form. Jim?
Aye, hopefully we're going to have a wee discussion regarding them for esteemed officials again, because how anybody could see the boy Boyle handball and that, and yet they couldn't see a handball with Lawrence Shankland, which I felt Lawrence Shankland's one was 100 times worse than the boy Boyle's. Again, the goal we lost at the weekend there, they got chopped off. A simple ball early tappies again.
Aye. And also we gave the ball away in midfield again, yeah. There was similarity to that in the Hearts goal.
Aye, big time.
Aye.
Hopefully these things are beginning to get ironed out, but they weren't ironed out if they were a wet man and up. But how they could see that handball and couldn't they see the one the other week, with Lawrence Shankland is beyond me.
Aye, the officials, mate. Well, put it this way, ultimately that was another official error, Robert, because he gave the goal.
He did, Ox, but I'll be honest, watching it live, I didn't actually see the handball until I seen the replay. Where his hand is and the way the ball's come across him, it's on the blind side. So I don't want to give the referee a benefit of doubt, but it wasn't as clear and obvious as the Shankland one, as Jim said. The Shankland one, he's looking right at it, that official, and you can see it. This one, you relied on VAR, and VAR done its job at that point. That's where VAR's good. It's a factual overturn. It's not asking for an on-field review. They're saying we can see his handballed it, factual overturn, and that's when it's worked, and it's worked well. And thankfully, for a change, it's went in our favour. So I'll give the benefit out a wee bit to the referee that it was on the blind side and it wasn't maybe as clear and obvious, which I suppose it raises a question. Why does VAR intervene if it's not a clear and obvious error? Still all the grey areas, I suppose, isn't it?
Oh, mate. You've been kind to the officials, mate. You've been kind to the officials. Jim?
Aye, I see we've got my pal beaten back on Sunday again. Interesting.
He's the only one that wasn't involved in this weekend. A whole lot of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know.
I heard there was a function in Renfrew, one of the clubs down there, and they were all attending it, but that's just a rumour.
Is that a rumour, aye?
I hear you laughing there, Robert. I think you know what club I'm talking about.
Aye.
Anyway, who just you used to you've not been on, Robert and then Jim. Who's Sean for you? Who do you think can do better just in general of Saturday's performance? Robert?
I think the obvious standout would be obviously the return of Raskin back to the squad stands out. It showed his presence in the midfield, gets the goal with again a header, which we've seen him do. He's got that in his locker where he can have a bit of a leap on him. Not the tallest guy, but he's got a good leap on him. And it's a good delivery by Taft to get the goal. So I think Raskin stands out. Gassama looked a lot better, again back in that natural side, which I suppose that answers my next question of Mike Moore's got to do a lot more if he's wanting a run in this team, mate. We obviously spoke about the transfers, and it was, for me, it was jury's out still, but I'm getting closer to jury's out, and I know at this point in time from what I've seen, as you've said yourself, I don't think he's any further down the road than young Finlay Curtis.
No, I don't disagree with that statement. I mean, I've made it myself. Yeah, Raskin had an excellent game. You know, getting the goal, getting involved in the second goal, he looked a threat, he was working hard, he was linking play. You know, and the former Nico around about Christmas time last year, Jim, wasn't it?
Aye, yeah, it looked a hell of a lot better. I'm the same as Robert and yourself. I thought Raskin was superb. I thought seeing Gazzama back to his natural position. And I like to be boy fellow Hingme Asgard in there as well. I thought that boy done pretty useful. But on the case of Finlay Curtis is not going to get a game as long as Gazzama's playing on that left side of that midfield. in my opinion.
Because if that's his preferred position, yeah, I get it. But look, it just looks more mobile. It looks more direct. It looks more a goal threat than Mikey Moore does at the moment, Jim.
Aye, again, I thought Moore got a wee bit. He didn't lose the ball as much at the weekend there. He wasn't the best on the park, but I thought he looked as if he had improved a wee bit. But as you say, Gazama's got to go. He's got to be playing that left side of that midfield.
That's his best. That's when he shines, and he's got that striking's ball when he cuts inside, and he can shoot. And then if he's got an overlapping fullback, Robert, but he can be rolling it to him to run on it. He's the defender's got a choice to make left and right, inside or outside, and it becomes harder to defend against, So, and he's shown us that he can whip the ball into the net for there, and he was very unlucky at the weekend, wasn't he?
It was, and again, he's got that in his locker where he can drop a shoulder and cut inside. And you mentioned the overlapping kind of fullback option as well. I thought Magoma has come into the squad. Couple of good performances, mate. I'll be honest, for a young lad to come in. I still think he's got to be tested fully to actually see where he's at and improve on. He's still only 19, so he will have flaws in his game, but I thought he's looked impressive. And if him and Gassama continue on that left side together, they could cause real problems on that left-hand side and make it a threat for us going forward.
He was a great use too. I mean, Raskin was man of the match, and the Gas man was the next best shining light. Funny, Jim, I seen Asgard. I didn't see it. Everybody sees the game. I've not watched it back, apart from the highlights of the goals, etc. But I didn't see it. But listen, everybody sees the game differently. I thought he flattered to deceive and never really created a lot. I don't know if midfield's his position, because I think he's more an offensive player, and I don't think he's got a defensive side to his game. Just my initial thoughts on the boy. Listen, I hope he gets better and better and better, because he looks as if he's got something about him, but I just think he just needs to bring it in the party. Jim?
I thought the other somebody brought on instead of Mikey Moore, man. I thought that boy, man, could possibly have scored one of the goals of the season with that dribble. I thought he was very unfortunate. He just placed it past the post late on when he came on.
He done the hard work there.
Aye, oh man, he actually ripped him apart, man. About 3 or 4 of them, man. And I thought he was very unfortunate. People like that, it's a sitter. I thought the boy was unlucky. And again, it's great to see a striker actually getting in the 6-yard box, isn't it?
Simple. Funny enough, I liked his finish. I know it was offside, and
I'm just going to say that there.
Right. Well, carry on.
I thought it was cheeky. I thought it was a great finish. I thought it was a cheeky finish. Aye. It was offside, but his finish was cool.
You talk about dribblers. I believe your team's got a lot of dribblers in it, yeah?
Yes, we've got a lot of dribblers, yes.
Don't tell the big man I did that. Yeah.
Aye. Oh, did he tell you about his goal?
Oh, I've not heard through the grapevine.
Oh, man. Honest, man, what a strike, by the way. He'll be delighted that he's heard me talking about it.
Brilliant. It's funny that, Robert. Two people can watch a game and have two different. I didn't think Asgard was particularly great. Jim thought it was okay. It's funny how people see it different.
Yeah, that's the good thing about the game, mate, and the sport that we love watching. You all watch the same game, but different views about personnel, structure, tactics, formations, how we can improve, and we all want the end result is the better Rangers side that we can get on the park. For me, when you said about midfield, Asgard's best position, I've said it on the show before, mate. For me, he looks a natural number 10, where you just give him a free roll, let him drift wide, let him come deep, get in behind, rather than kind of restrict him to midfield kind of duties, that defensive work. For me, he's got that natural ability in the 10 where he can just link the play between the two sitters behind him or the guys in front of him or beside him. So interesting to see how we can maybe develop him going forward. But he does have something about him. It's just trying to get that final kind of potential in his game.
Mm-hmm. If my criticism will be, Jim, that there was a couple of times on Saturday, we've seen it since the sort of cameos he's had, when he's in that defensive bit of the park, he's maybe trying to come bring the ball clear. There's been a couple of times when he was caught in possession, and when you're running by people and they get caught in possession because they're no switched on, it's frustrating. And I felt he'd done that a couple of times at the weekend. I know he can look good on the ball, but I'm still looking for a bit of creation from him.
Aye, again, see you're saying there about is losing the ball. It's probably been the biggest issue in the team this season, losing the ball in the forward positions. Then all of a sudden, teams are on us, and a few goals have came for that. With losing the ball, but again, see that second goal of the weekend there. I see it been quoted that there was 34 passes in that goal.
Aye. Did you sit and count on him?
No, but I know, but we're no slow to criticise our team. But when we score a goal for 34 passes, then that's a goal.
Aye. Listen, mate. There's times when we looked all right, and then other times when we've shot ourselves in the foot, and that's the thing. But it was good to get a goal for a set piece, and good to get the striker to get a goal, which I think's been important because the centre forwards haven't been any chances, Jim.
No, but the one kind of hang me. I thought the big boy should have busted it. The one he's through in the goals, and people are like, "Oh, it's a great save by the keeper." Nah, that's a bad miss to me. With a striker going a 1-on-1 with a goalkeeper, because the goalie shouldn't be standing a chance. But it would be good to get that big boy getting the monkey off his back, wouldn't it?
Exactly, mate. You took the words right out of my mouth, mate. That would have been a big goal for him because of just pressure. It bursts that bubble, Robert.
It does, mate. Similar to Miovski. Obviously, he's not really had a sniff until the weekend there of a chance. And as a good natural striker does, as Jim said earlier on, he's in the 6-yard box, a poacher's finish, and it just reacts instantly. He takes his chance, gets a goal, and he said it in his interview after the game. That'll be the first of many, and hopefully it comes through. Same with Chimity. Once you get the first goal, you get the feeling, you get the buzz, and you get confidence from it. So if he gets his chance, which I agree with Jim, I think he's got to score. I think it's just that first chance he's got, first nerves. But let that one pass. It didn't affect the result in the game. And hopefully he takes the next one and gets that monkey off his back, as he's both said.
He's a big unit, Jim. I didn't realise he was a big unit.
Yeah, he's a big boy. Again, he just needs to get this goal because the price tag, and they're going to start questioning the price tag and all the rest of it. The boy needs to get it off his back soon as. Hopefully this Thursday, if he's involved in the team or the squad. But I think the manager, because of the price tag, is going to have a wee bit of a dilemma on his thing shortly, because the longer it doesn't start this boy, then people are going to start questioning the price tag, I think.
Well, I don't think they will if we keep winning.
Aye, well, you're right there, aye.
If we keep winning. Things don't become issues when you don't win, Robert.
Aye, exactly, mate. And if Miovski starts scoring goals as well, then, as Jim says, it'll be a tough decision to make, but you'd rather have a striker who costs maybe less than £3 million scoring goals than a striker that's £8 million not scoring goals. So you want your goal scorer to be on the park. If there's a chance to get both of them on, why not? I don't see why we can't. But you're obviously going to take a goal scorer first and foremost, and if Miovski can start doing that, or vice versa, then it's up to the manager to decide who's going to be it. I think there will be chances for Chimity. There'll be games where he maybe gets started over Miovski, depending on the personnel we're up against and the way we approach games. But right now, it's still Miovski's at the minute, just based on what we've seen and the fact he's been around the club a little bit longer.
And if I'm really honest, only my point of view, I think Chimity looks as if he could do with a few games under his belt. Because I don't imagine that he's played a lot of football in his build-up in the pre-season Everton, the pace that we're trying to play at in competitive games. And also, they talk about this match fitness. I know he's only a young boy, Jim. I'm not talking about general football. At 21 years of age, he's able to play twice on a Saturday and 3 times on a Sunday, but you're talking about a different level. Jim?
Aye. Sorry there, I was just checking my standings in the Premier League just now. We're actually 10th just now by the guy, so things are looking up.
Right. I've always looked for a positive, mate. Right. Aye, Jimmy, I just think he'll need some more games, and I don't think we'll see the best of him for a couple of weeks. Maybe after the next international break.
Aye, but let's just hope the boy gets a goal.
Aye,
that's all we ever. No.
Agree. Right, we better get these phone lines open, Robert.
Right.
Aye, go for it, mate. Good to hear the callers.
Jim boy.
Yep, give us a call.
Yep, let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Just before we move on, Robert, I believe you got an official complaint about Southside Super 6 you want to put into Mr. Fox.
Aye, mate, I lost a fiver at the weekend because he gave us the wrong Super 6. I've heard there's been a few people affected by that this weekend, so if you have been affected, please do contact Rangers Radio and let us know.
And ask for Fox, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. Fox is the man.
Ask for Fox.
Ox, just checking Chermitty's involvement during pre-season there, mate, with Everton. He's only played a total of 53 minutes, and all of them were sub-appearances. The most was a 21-minute cameo appearance. So,
you get my
very
point.
little.
You get my point.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah, obviously the games come thick and fast, then you get an international break, but at the time, he should be on a different level. And if I'm honest, I don't know if he'd have been training with the first team at Everton. I really don't know if he was that little involvement, you know.
I don't know, mate, because I think the only other striker they had at the time was Beto. So I'd imagine they obviously went on the tour. They went to America, I'm sure. So they've been involved some capacity. But prior to that, I don't know, is it kind of injury layoffs as well and how much he actually was involved prior to the league. I think it was AK that said he's not played many minutes at all. So I don't think he was really in the picture. From what we've read online, at times when he was fit, he wasn't really given a chance. But we hear that with a lot of players. But when you come to this club, you've got to take a chance when you get it.
Aye. Also, wish him the best. And it would have helped. It wouldn't have made any difference as a result. Jim, it would have bust the bubble for him and moved and took a bit of pressure off him.
Yeah, it would have improved our goal difference as well, better.
That's true, mate. Every goal helps, every little helps, mate.
Yeah, everyone helps, right?
Right, okay. Cornelius, what was your take on him, Robert?
I looked comfortable, mate, I'll be honest. Again, as I said earlier on, he just gives you that balance, having a natural left footer on the left side. Allows Suter to come back in the right as well. I think we'll see a lot of that partnership going forward. There will be times where he'll need to be rested, or Suter might need to be rested and Giga comes back into the fold. But I just like the natural balance it gives us. It allows the ball to be moved quicker. You don't then have to chop into the middle of the park, because that's where we lose the ball quite a lot of times. You can play it out wide to Magoma, you can drive forward. But no, I looked comfortable, mate. Didn't look too fast or too slow chasing Boyle back for the goal. I think he was just beat for Boyle's pace, because you know how quick Boyle is. But over the piece, mate, I think he's done okay.
Right.
Again, not a great performance, but not a rubbish performance. Okay.
I think when you mentioned left footers there, your other panelist tonight doesn't think there should be any left footers in the team. Jim?
Well, possibly, but see on it, you're saying there about having that balance. Do you not think we've looked a better team when we get that ball moving quicker? and having guys in their natural position, I really do think we do look a far better team when we get that ball moving quicker. But as you say, getting that ball in there with the balance is maybe helping it.
Aye. Well, Gassama's no left-footed. He's playing the left side, different positions. But defending, I think you want the guys that are naturally. It helps. But there's been guys that have made careers playing opposite side of the pitches. Yeah, but rule of thumb, people benefit from it. You know, Suter looks a better player on the right than he does on the left when he's trying to pass the ball. I don't think John's the best at distribution we've ever seen, but he just looks more comfortable on that side of the pitch. Just my take on it, Robert.
No, I agree with you, mate. Certainly, when you're coming forward with the ball, and if it's not on your natural side, you're coming into that midfield zone where it's absolutely crammed and packed. And the way we play, we're overloading ourselves at times, and that's where we play ourselves into trouble. Whereas, as Jim said, it just moves quicker. You play the ball to Suter, he takes it on his right foot, he opens his body up, he's got a lot more options available ahead of him, pass to the right, up the line to the right winger, or drive forward with his right foot initially. Opposite sides for Cornelius. It just, for me personally, I just like the balance defensively. As you said, it just allows that structure to be more solid. Going forward, you can have a left footer on the right and a right foot on the left to come in and create chances, play a through ball, have a shot at goal. That works, but defensively for me, just natural sides seem to always work better for us anyway.
Aye, balance is your word. Jim used balance. I think you've got a point there. And then Cornelius, what I did like about him, mate, he looked as if he was a good talker. You know, and that's a big part of defending. You need somebody organised constantly in there. Somebody has to be in charge. And it's only the impression you get, but you don't see Suter being that type of lad. He might not show up in the football part, but you just don't notice it, Jim. But that's the way it looks.
No, it's looked a bit better. Pretty noticeable with the two of them getting that ball.
Oh, I think Jim's pretty. I think you might have put yourself in it. Robert?
Aye, you're right, mate. I think we looked for experience at the back, and obviously he comes with a bit of experience. Obviously played at Marseille for a while there. He's an international with Canada, so he's got experience behind him. And as you say, he talks players through the game, which will be beneficial to young Jaden McGomer at left back. So again, Cornelius can play left back as well, so he might even be giving some words of advice to McGomer and how he can improve his game. So if you can strike a relationship there on that left side, strike a relationship up with the centre back you're playing with, if it is Suter going forward, then it makes a more solid back line that we should limit the shots we have at goal, limit the chance creation against us and the shots that we concede. So it can only be positive, mate, if we can get that relationship going between the back four. And obviously the goalkeeper as well is included, but your foundation's your back five, whether it's a back four or 5 defenders, whatever you want to call it. 4 defenders, a goalkeeper. You build your solid foundations, you build from the back. So if we get that going, then everything else in front can just piece together as the jigsaw goes.
Aye, I just think it's decision making, clear the pitch, mate. And for me, if you clear your lines, you're not putting yourself under pressure. And there was a classic example of that in Saturday's game, Jim, when Hibs were messing about and the boy passed it right back to when we should have, arguably should have done better. But yeah, this kamikaze football has become fashionable. I don't understand it, mate. I really don't. When defenders are passing it back to their own goal blindly, and players are all around them, just having a doubt, put it out or hold it up apart. I know that it's not pretty football, but you'll not lose a goal. So surely as a defender, that's the aim.
Aye, big time. I thought, I don't know if it was the second half, they played a couple of blind passes, man, and I went like, oh no, man, what are we doing here? But also, you're saying there about kamikaze football, I thought Jack Butland a few times put us under pressure with a kick straight down the middle, and Hibs broke on us, but fortunately nothing came of it.
I don't get that neither, mate. I don't get that. By passing the boys. There was times when they called some of the passes hospital passes because you had your back to the play. And there was when you could tackle from behind before your time, Robert, people would just come in and clatter you. You wouldn't been able to do that. You know, and so I don't understand some of that either, mate. Just put it away from your goal and don't have your team under pressure. I don't get it, honestly, don't. I know the theory behind it, but I think the risk and reward, I don't understand it, mate. I think there's more risk than reward. Robert?
No, you're right, mate. As you said, you're not going to lose a goal by hoofing it up the park. You don't even know what you're going to get out of it. Defender might slip. You might get a ball that just falls nicely in behind, and you get a chance. Whether you get a goal with a corner, but if it's away from your goal, that's a reward that you're not conceding, and the risk might pay off by just hoofing it, and you actually end up with a reward at the end of it. So, again, I agree with you. I get that modern day football now is all this passing and moving from the back, trying to draw teams in and nice football. I get it. I don't mind it, but there's times where it is just a case of if in doubt, put it out, or if in doubt, just launch it. And as I said, you don't know what comes at the end of it. You might get a goal. You're never going to know until you try it. It's not beautiful football, but do you want beautiful football or do you want results? Results all day long.
Well, I'm a simple man, as you know, Jim. And if you've got the ball 20 yards for your own goal, you can't score, but the other team can score. If you've got it up the other end of the park, you can score and they can't score. Don't remember I'm wrong.
Oh, you're no wrong, but as we said earlier on the conversation, that's where a lot of our problems are coming from. Us losing the ball in that last 20, then I'm breaking on us.
Because you've not got any, when you lose it that close to your own goal, mate, you've not really got time to recover. It's as simple as that, mate. You know, 9 times out of 10, if something does happen, it's right through the top of your goalie. If he's in position, Robert.
Aye, of course, mate. As you said, that's been a downfall in a lot of games so far this season. Is when we're in that zone, in that area of the pitch, and we're taking too long to make a decision, or we're driving out rather than passing it. And as you say, there's no recovery time. As soon as you lose it, you're relying on your goalkeeper at that time to stand up tall, make a save, or hope he's in the right area. Otherwise, you're going to concede a goal, or at least a good chance of conceding a goal. And that's been our own downfall, which those decision makings, and that comes down to, again, the instructions the player's been given. I think when Jim mentioned earlier on about Butland putting us under pressure with kicks, at times he's holding the ball to the very last second. But I think a few players have come out and said that that's an instruction. Russell Martin wants you to hold on to that last split second before releasing the ball. That puts you under pressure. And I've got no complaints if we concede a goal where a team has pressured you and you've lost it fair and square. But I've got an issue of when we do them regularly, our own downfalls, and we don't improve, we don't learn from the mistakes, and we don't change it, and we actually make a rod for our own back by completely sticking with instructions as we've told, but at the same time playing ourselves into trouble where we could easily play out it again, whether it's a pass to the side or a hoof up the park. Just get rid and reset and go again.
I don't understand that, mate, because look, I don't know what the numbers would be, but if you were taking that gamble all the time, Jim, you might lose. The goalie might get caught in possession 2 or 3 times a season and it ends up in the back of the net. And it's no when, it's if. And it's when that happens. In big games, mate, you could pay a heavy price for it. I honestly, I know it's a modern trend, but I don't understand it, mate. I really don't.
It's happening up and down the country. You're seeing it with a lot of better teams than us. They seem to be playing it. Man City seem to be playing it. Liverpool seem to be playing it. But you need to have the players the quality players to make it happen, didn't you? And as you're saying about Jack Butland, I thought Butland, again, I know I said at the weekend there, I thought he put us under a lot of pressure at the weekend there. More than what Hibs did with his kicking.
Just go long, mate. Just go long. I don't understand.
There's times when you need to get it out there, isn't there? Give yourself a break.
I don't understand it, mate. I really don't. I don't want to sound like a dinosaur. Obviously, everybody likes a goalkeeper. You get the ball rolling to the fullback, you start to play, and it's away, and it's nice to watch. I get all of that. Yeah, but professional football in our club's all about winning, Robert. It's not about nice to play. It's all about putting the ball in the back of the net.
Exactly, mate. And you're not going to score if you're sitting playing tappy touch football in the edge of your box. You need to get it into your wide players, create chances into the middle, creative players to get forward and get goals. That's what I'm saying. If you ask any football fan, do you want results that aren't pretty, or do you want nice football where you might come away with a result if you're lucky? Every fan's going to say they want results in a day. But, all right, it might not look great on a park, but it will look good on the table when you've got 3 points after so many games and you got the table. And that's, again, it's been our own downfall. We've tried to play to instructions where at times, you've seen it yourself, folks, there's times where you see a winger free and you think just ping the long ball to them, they're in space, but we're still trying to play 3 or 4 passes along the back to create space elsewhere in the park. Just be direct. You never know what you're going to get from it.
Aye, right, okay. Listen, you're out there and you want to come and join us. I want to get your take on what's happening in the club in general, both these. Starting with Robert, it'll be good to hear from Jim after his bout of illness. Right, okay, but let's hear from you. 0141 356 1972. These are your thoughts, and we start slowly building up to a big European night on Thursday. We'll play our first home game in the group stages of Europa League, a competition that's been pretty favourable to us over the last few years. So we'll start with Jim, and then Robert, you can come in. Your take on what's happening off the park, the club at the moment, where obviously there's protests, there's maybe people not going to the games, if I'm honest. By the way, I think a small factor in that is 5:45 on a Saturday night, mate. I just think it's a horrendous time for the traditionalists, people. Well, just my take on it. But what's your thoughts on what's happening and what's it going to achieve, or is it going to achieve anything? Jim?
I think the fans have got every right to voice their opinion regarding the kick-off times. That's just television now for you, and it seems to be that be a player, whoever it is, that's just where they're going with their kick-off times. Again, I think the fans had every right to voice their opinion, because I think we're looking upon it and everybody thought things were all going to be Gardens and Roses, man, when they take over. So, but we are where we are, aren't we?
Aye, we are. And we can't do anything about what's happened in the last few weeks, mate. But we can only obviously direct the future as the team hopefully gets better, Robert. And you'd like if that takes some of the pressure off the manager. But I think some fans will never change their mind. I think it's too far gone so quickly, mate.
Totally agree with you, mate. There will be fans out there that will, no matter what kind of turnaround Russell Martin does, if he can, if any, whether it be a cup win, if we get to the final and win the cup, whether we can mount a challenge in the league, there will be some fans around there that will just say he's not for them, not for the club. And as Jim said, they've got the right to voice that opinion, and they'll do that in the way that they see fit. Personally, if they want to stand in protest before the game and then go and support the team, by all means, it's up to them again. Others, as you say, decide to not go to the game and maybe watch it on the telly. End of the day, Ox, we support the team. We might not like or support the manager in charge, but we all want what's best for the club, and that's a winning team on the park. The stuff off it, obviously, we get affected by it as supporters. The players will understandably get affected by it as well. But I think, obviously, given what happened on Saturday, the fact we've come away with a 2-0 win, we're into a semi-final against our neighbours, it doesn't release all the pressure, but it's a start until at least the next game. And as you say, that comes in Thursday night, where it's a favourable first game at home to get 3 points. But fans have got a right to voice their displeasure and their opinions, rightly so. They'll see what they do fit, but at the end of the day, we all want the same outcome, and it's a winning Rangers side. and a successful Rangers side. So, as I said, it lifts the pressure until at least Thursday night, and we'll see what happens in the next game. It is a game-by-game basis now, as we've said before many times about a lot of managers.
You know the trouble when you get in that, when you're making statements like game by game, it all never ends one way, mate. Because you have a rule of thumb. You might have the exception, but the rule tells you you're going to have a hiccup at some point. Doesn't matter how well you're playing, never mind badly. And if it's game by game, all ends one way. But things can move on if he wins Thursday, wins on Sunday. Sorry, Jim. Things start moving. Yeah.
He's got to get a run of games, get a run of wins for to maybe take a bit of heat off himself. But as you say, he's only one thing away from getting it again in the neck, isn't he? But by the way, Ox, can I get a wee shout out there for my lassie before she goes to her bed? She's sending me daft texts here, Dad.
Well,
and I need to go to my bed now.
Wait a minute.
I actually tell her to phone in.
What, phone her in so she can say good night to you?
Aye, that's all right. She's one tucked in, I think.
Don't say that. It's outside of me.
All right. You might see the text he's not getting sent now.
He's going to send me a cracker and all. Sorry, I was smoking. Right.
Don't worry about
that. But aye, listen, I get a shot. Should be going to the games with you still, mate?
Well, she goes with her half, and her mom gets left with the Wayne, so she's kind of deserted me, mate. She's phoning the rest.
All right, mate. It comes to us all, mate. It comes to us all. Robert's still got it.
Aye, I will yet, mate. I will yet.
It comes to us all, mate. It's sore, Jim, innit? It's sore.
Aye, it's sore, mate. But I'm a wee bit better off in the pocket now. It's a wee bit less sore.
They get it a different way, mate. They get it a different way. Yeah, I know.
She's anything like a more, she'll be back round again.
Aye. That's what I know. Guy told me once. That's what he teaches them at home in economics. I didn't understand it at the time, but I get it now. Right. So listen, listen. I think a lot of people would want it to go spectacularly well for the manager, even if they don't like him. But we're being real. That usually this ends in one way. But he could take a lot of pressure one Thursday, one Sunday, having a group of players, and then things are looking a wee bit rosier. But Thursday's a big game for the prestige of the club. You know, and arguably the end of season. Sunday's a bigger game, if that makes sense, Jim.
Aye, I would say Sunday out of them all, because we need to start getting points on the board in this league, don't we?
Aye. I agree. Robert?
You're totally right, mate. And again, Thursday's a big game, given the prestige, as you said, of the European tie, and a midweek game under the lights at Ibrox. It's always a good atmosphere. Players will have a lift and a bit of confidence coming off a Saturday. But before you know it, once it's finished on Thursday night, all attention does turn to Sunday. And you're right, it becomes to quote Bridgeman, it's the biggest game of the season, because, as Jim said, we still need to get points on the board and get the first league win. Because before you know it, you start looking at the table and teams above you could pull away. And I know it's a long season, but you don't want to be sitting down the bottom week after week again. So relying on other results to go your way just to get back in amongst it. So we'll deal with Thursday. As I said, it's a favourable tie, in my opinion, Ox, where we can get off to a good start in the Europa League, hopefully a good performance and a result, and then bounce into Sunday, where it'll be a tricky game because it's on the old plastic pitch at Livingston as well. So
yes,
that'll be another test as well.
A different test, Robert. A different test.
Aye.
By the way, did any of the two you see David Martindale's interview?
Talking about AI referees in the future, aye?
Yes. Did you see it? I don't know if you picked up on it, Jim.
Aye, I heard wee bits of it, but I seen the Rattlers having a wee batter up because he mentioned Rangers.
Oh. What, they having a problem with somebody telling the truth, mate?
Well, possibly, aye.
Yeah. You know, he told the truth, didn't he? He talked about it. You know, I think it was Albert mentioned last week There was 3 decisions at Ibrox and 2 at Rugby Park. 6 point swing, mate. 6 points.
That was a swing on it, aye. Aye, swung it, aye.
You know, so that can have an effect as things go forward, you know. And obviously, when you take that result on Saturday, then you're getting people maybe no turning up and it's harming the club economically. So these officials are making decisions that's hampering you on the park, hampering you off the park, mate, and they're getting so much so wrong. Aided by VAR, it's mental, Robert.
It is, mate, and I'm actually sitting wondering now, we're thinking back and looking to both incidents with the handball, obviously Shankland with the Hearts game, and then Boyle there on Saturday. Do you think, had there been that announcement that they got it wrong in the Hearts game, do you think they'd have overturned it on Saturday? Because I'll be honest, I don't think we would have. I think they'd have let that goal go had there not been an announcement saying that they got it wrong for Hearts goal. Personally, I don't think they'd have overturned it. I think they were under pressure to change it because I've seen that.
See, before VAR, if they things would have happened and somebody had scored, you'd have had your discussions about the officials. VAR was there to take the errors out the game, if that's what how you want to referee it. Now, that's up for debate. And we've got a top-class referee and we're missed tonight, Robert. So I think it'd be more than right to ask him. Jim?
Aye. I don't think there was any chance they were going to miss that one at the weekend because they knew they'd made a pig's ear. I'm just looking forward to seeing Willie Collum sing with this Gordon Duncan to see how he gets out of this and how he tries to play this one out regarding that incident at the Hearts game. But again, the club, I know we're talking about the club. We missed a mark last season where we should have screamed for Heeds and we didn't do it when they cheated us in the cup final.
Aye, well, he was happened to be at Ibrox at the weekend, Mr. Connor, yeah. You know what I mean?
Aye, and as we say, he wasn't quick for putting the flag up with the goal. I mean, he's another one who's looking straight at it because the ball's he's directly in line with it as the ball gets played over the top because he's in line with the last defender or the last player. So he should have seen it.
I would maybe, as much as I've got my issues with, mate, I would maybe think that if you're running as a line and that happens and it's another side, mate, would you see it always? You've done the line, mate.
Well,
it's a difficult thing to do, run the line, eh?
Well, that is difficult area when you're hanging, but he was. I think he was.
I know how quick you are getting up and down that line.
Aye, I maybe about 30 years ago, right? So I take it Frank Connor was the one on the stand side, or was he on the other side?
I can't remember now, mate. I did at the time. I did notice, but I can't remember. I'm assuming he was on the main stand side, but I can't remember.
Well, if he's on the main stand side, he's looking straight at that, isn't he? Because he's watching the last defender and the last player. So
I know, but he might have seen the player. But what I'm saying is, the handball was in the blind side of the linesman. Well, I'm not defending Mr. Connor. I'm just saying that I can understand how you could miss that as a linesman.
Yeah, well, possibly. How anybody missed the one against Hearts, man?
That's a different story. I'll tell you somebody who did miss it in real time. Me.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. But listen, that I'll go back to the VAR thing, mate. I thought it was to take all these controversies out, you know, but it seems to have added them in, Robert.
The issue is, Ox, we're sitting and say it's clear, obvious referee errors. It's the referees that are on the VAR. So if they're going to miss things during the game, make errors during the game, they're going to do it in the VAR room. It doesn't matter if they're on a pitch or sitting in a chair. That's my issue with VAR. Personally, I'd like to see it reviewed of who actually does the VAR, whether it's a former referee, a current referee, ex-player. Because see, when you all hear about these decisions of like handball, natural position, referees don't know what a natural position is unless you've played the game. A defender will tell you what's natural and what isn't. In my opinion, where the hands should be, especially with handballs where you're blocking the ball, you're trying to make yourself look big. You can't just stand with your hands behind your back the whole game. So
what you're saying to me is an ex-player would say, let's just say hypothetical. I'll be hypothetical here, Jim. Somebody hits a shot and ricochets off somebody, bounces up and hits somebody's horn about a foot away, and he'll say that was a penalty kick. That wouldn't happen, would it?
You did do it, rugby park.
No,
Listen, I know I wasn't on here last week.
They wouldn't
Can I go?
send that guy who's watched that in the telly, and then VAR tell him he's missed something, and then him go and see that, and then give a penalty. That wouldn't happen, would it?
I know. Can I go back to something? I know I wasn't on here last week for the Higby, but see the Hearts game. I don't know if he's paid too much attention to Tav's yellow card. Did you know see what Tav actually get booked for? He actually pointed to the tannoy system, because see when he chopped that goal off, the tannoy system announced it before the referee pointed to give the free kick to chop the goal off. When you hang it, Tav was going nuts because the guy or the tannoy announced it. It was a no goal before the referee pointed to give a free kick. That's what Tav went nuts for, and he talked about Shelton. I'm the captain. I'm allowed to question you. Absolutely unbelievable. I actually seen it in the game, and I went like, how can he announce that before the referee actually gives it?
Well, he actually got away with that, and they've looked at that, and then they chopped that goal off, mate. Now, I don't know if he's blown a whistle before the ball ends up in the net, because you don't hear all that. But that's the problem when they blow a whistle. There's no consistency, Robert, because they let it run for some instances, blow the whistle quick, and then say, well, we'll give the foul, so we can't get a goal. So certain referees are making sure there's two bites of the cherry, either for or against teams.
I thought the rule now, Ox, was you play until the end of phase is over. You see it a lot with obviously clear offsides. You're asking where's the flag, and then the phase will change whether he passes it back or the ball gets passed into somebody else. They'll put the flag up. So when it comes to a goal, my understanding is it's played until the ball either ends up in the net or in the keeper's hands if it's a foul. I actually think when I watched it back, Ox, I actually think the ball hit the net, then the whistle went literally seconds later, split second. So I think that's why it went to VAR, because the on-field decision was a foul, and they've looked at it and said, we're sticking with your decision. Because I think if had he blown before, there wouldn't have been a VAR review, because he's just gave a foul before the balls went in the net. That's my understanding of it.
Ref?
Goal. On-field decision stands.
You free Saturday,
No,
Sunday?
No, I think the fit team are playing Dundee. See the Garden. I can't wait till we actually get what I got done in the Premiership, where you can hear the referees saying what's actually happening. Because I think it would take a lot of this nonsense out the game if you could hear why they're actually giving the decision, and no saying how can VAR do that and he's not getting that.
So you'll hear them saying, what does Peter want?
Aye. Get him a massive motor.
The thing is, Jim, they're still getting it wrong down there as well. That goal a couple of weeks ago get chopped off against Chelsea, changed the game.
Aye.
So they're still getting it wrong, even though they're full-time refs. They've had more training, they've had more time with it. And then we've got Willie Collum coming out saying, we've had was it pilots come in from aviation control to tell us how to do VAR. Come on.
Well,
that pilot he was talking about was a rocket driver.
There's a few rockets in there, Jim. There's a few rockets.
Oh, big time.
Christopher, we'll bring you right in after the tune, mate. We're going to bring you right in as soon as the tune's finished, mate. We'll bring you to the call, because we'll be going to a tune in a couple of minutes. Aye. Listen, I recognise that without referees, Jim, you can't have a game of football. I get that. And I get the fact that the game's faster now and it's changed, but and obviously with the TV coverage that's there, it's different. Things will be talked about and noticed that 2 generations ago, people would have never have seen. Maybe if they weren't at the game and if they were watching the ball because things are away. I get what I understand that game's changed, and I was the anti-VAR. I thought this will be interesting to see how it works. I don't think it's improved the spectacle of the game for the spectator. And I think the players are getting more confused. So it's changed the game for certain positions. Some for the better. Defenders can't pull and haul because they might get pulled up because it's a penalty kick. Attackers are going to play onside instead of trying to steal a fraction to get the ball in because it will just be caught on VAR. So it's changed again. And I don't necessarily think it's made it a better spectacle.
Are you for binning it then, Ox?
No, I think it's here to stay, mate. I think you'll have to try and improve it. If you look at Wimbledon, what they've done, I know it's a different sport, but they've line judges, and they done away with them for because they used AI for the throw, and that could maybe come that you'll know of linesmen. I would also take timekeeping away personally, and I would stop the clock, mate. And run the clock down, and then single-handedly you've done away with timekeeping. Stop the clock, stop it. But they do in certain other sports, some of the American ones. And then all of a sudden, if somebody takes 5 minutes to get off the park because he's injured, the clock stop, mate. Take it away from the referee so he can concentrate in making the right subjective decision supported with VAR. Just my take on it, Robert.
So who's that timekeeper then? Who's the timekeeper?
It'd be in the stadium and the clock would be stopped. They say the fourth official. So somebody's walking off the clock and it's up and there in front of everybody's eyes. There's 10 minutes to go and it stops. And if the guy takes 5 minutes to walk off the park, it's still 10 minutes to go. It's easy, Robert, isn't it?
So it's the timekeeper's prerogative then? When he stops it and when he doesn't?
When the ball's out of play, mate, when the ball's stopped or somebody's walking off the park, it takes 2 minutes, yeah? Now then you're up for debate.
Are we going to play a game of football for 2 years then?
Well, obviously, if you make 4 substitutes, they all take 5 minutes to walk up. The first half should last 65 minutes, shouldn't it?
Oh, you're going to end up in the NFL, mate.
And is that a bad thing?
Oh, well, I don't like NFL because of the stoppages. So
Aye, but
I think
you're getting the stoppages just now for timekeeping. We'll come back to it, Robert, quickly. Thoughts?
You're hitting the nail on the head there, mate. You look at another sports template, rugby. They've had VAR, or whatever they call it, for years. Many controversies have you heard from rugby with VAR. They stop the clock when there's subs. And I'll tell you something, see if they stop clock, the clock stops, easy for me to say, the clock stops when the ball's out of play, you sure hell bet that the teams will get that ball in play quicker, which means there's more football played than actual stoppages, which is what we all want. We all want to see football matches not taking 10 seconds for a pass or a throw in.
He's just worried referees would have to run about for longer. That's all he's worried about.
Robert, I'm going to say that you get less controversy in rugby, mate, because you can hear what the referees tell them, mate. And there's more respect for the players to the referee.
There is that as well.
Aye.
Right, we'll come back to it. Interesting subject. I didn't know we'd end up pounding the referee, right, but I'm enjoying it. Right.
I don't get my rule book out.
Get yourself from mute because we're going to have a tune.
It's a place of great fame. It lies to the northland, and Ulster's its name. It has only 6 counties. in his own rebel town. He will speak of our friendship. Why can't we be one? Just to point to the red hand, to buy the Queen's crown. Say we're side by side with Scotland, and they won't let us down. Like I'm brothers and sisters, that is all toast is one. That is ring to our Ulster. It's heroes and sons, and while we are toasting to names we must join, that of William, Prince of our race, and the banks of the Boyne.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
All right, gentlemen.
Aye, a wee toe tapper.
I
All right,
know
lovely wee song that.
an all-time classic. An all-time classic. Yes. There we go. I think you've got a point to make, Robert. We'll keep pounding the ref. Yeah, we'll keep
Aye.
pounding the ref. Robert, on you go, mate. Floor's yours, mate. On you go.
I just remember talking there, mate, about like how do we improve the game and maybe even support the referees as much as we criticise them and things like that. There was a thing came out by former Premier League referee Mark Clattenburg. I think it was maybe a couple of months ago to a year now, about how he would improve the game from his point of view. One of the things that he suggested, which has actually come into place recently, was the new 8-second rule for a goalkeeper to have the ball in his hands. I know it used to be 6 and it was never really adhered to, but it's now up to 8 seconds.
No in Scotland, mate, because your referees couldn't count it.
No, exactly, mate. But you
Yeah.
can see that there's been changes made in other leagues that maybe we could take points off and look at and say, well, can it improve our game? The biggest thing that he recommended that hasn't come into play yet was when I mentioned their throw-ins. Players get 2 warnings to take the throw in, and if they don't do it after day 2, the opposition gets awarded the throw. So if you're in a defensive throw-in, do you really want that attacking team getting the ball in that position? No, you're going to get the ball into play quicker. 90-minute game of football these days, mate, there may be only 60 minutes of action in that 90-minute game. So, as I said, supporters want to see football played more. So, the more in-action play you get, the better. And that's where you're going to get more chances and more time to score goals.
There you go. Anyway, we'll come back to that, Jim. We'll maybe do a special where people phoning in just to ask the referee things. What do you think, Robert? Is that a good idea?
I'd be glad he's come back now after that wee break.
I don't think I'm available that night.
He's got a referees meeting.
I go to lunch.
He'll be going to that meeting in Renfrew, his mate. We'll be joined by here, Christopher. Evening, Christopher.
Good evening, gentlemen. How's everybody tonight?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good.
Me and Robert are all right. I don't know about Jim, but carry on.
Yeah, what I was going to say was 2 points, really. One is this, I keep hearing this complaint about style of play. Every manager we seem to get, Clement, whether it be Clement, Kachina, Warburton, Russell Martin, there's always this moaning about style of play. Now, my question on this regard is, what is this utopia style of play that we think we're entitled to that would stop people complaining about style of play? And my second point is about the new people that have come in, the new investors and things like that. Is it not a wee bit concerning that we're only a few months down the line with these new investors and this new structure within the club, and already we're almost at the divorce stage when technically we should still be in the honeymoon period with these new investors.
Right. Robert, you want to take the style of play one?
Aye, evening, Christopher. Just for phoning in, pal. You make a good point, mate. I think every manager always has their ideas and their philosophy about football, and I suppose that's where the word style of play comes in. It's about how they want to set up teams, and their formations dictate what style they want to do, whether that's counter-attacking, whether it's the old-fashioned tiki-taka from back in the day, if you look at Pep and Barcelona. If you look at it as maybe direct, route one, a lot of managers have made a career out of that. Tony Pulis at Stoke, he was just long ball city, and he survived the Premier League with it, so it worked for him. I think every manager, regardless of your background and experience, you'll have a style of play that you think works good for you, how you can coach players to play to potential. As Jim said earlier on, you need players to play the style, and that's when recruitment comes into key, which kind of goes on to your second question. But to answer the style of play, mate, I think every manager nowadays has ideas, and Russell Martin's is clearly stuck to what he's known. We've seen him change it to recently. Obviously against Celtic, he changed it from the kind of 4-3-3 to the 4-2-3-1. We looked a bit better. Looked a better again on Saturday there. So there has been tweaks that he's made to his own, but ultimately it comes down to consistency. But as a manager, I've always said, mate, as a manager, you should always have a plan B, C, D, etc. to be adaptable in a game and out a game. Whether you've got that philosophy or not of that style of play that you think you're going to get the best out of your squad.
Jim, what was Walter's style of play?
Just going one, I believe.
I think you've answered the point, mate.
Right,
yeah.
But Christopher, can I take you up one from there, son? I'm listening to you there saying that the honeymoon's over for the new investors. In what way is the honeymoon over for them? What is it they've actually done right?
I'd more say it's about the people they've appointed to run the club on their behalf. Now, if everything was going great and swimmingly, there would be no protest. I think it's more to do with the people that they've brought in rather than the investors themselves. But I don't think anybody could have seen what was coming this season in terms of us getting off to this awful start. And we should still really be, regardless of the people they've brought in, we should still technically still be in this honeymoon period with this new manager, where the new people is being brought on board, and it's all came apart all so quickly. And I think that's quite concerning. It's just fell apart quite quick.
I think that's results.
It's probably aye. But apart from the guy Stewart, which was he not there before these new investors?
I think he was
put in there prior to the new investors.
I think he was a scout for the investors when I look at it now, mate. I think he's been with us about 10 months now in total, mate, roughly.
Aye, but how do we know that it was the new investors that put him in there?
No, we don't, mate, but it looks as if he was a scout, mate, because the conversations had started so far back, mate, you know, when it all started unravelling. I think if you look at it and you join the dots, this is only an educated guess, you know, they were talking, and then they needed somebody to come in as a CEO, and they might, and it's a might, and I don't know, Jim, I'm speculating, they might have had an involvement in it. And if you look at what he's done with the growth in Man United, no results at Man United, the business growth at Man United, what he's involved with, he was successful in his past life. But whether he's come in a different role with a different remit, we don't know. We're no party to that. But obviously, he was involved in selecting the new manager, so that's where the criticisms came from. And if the new manager doesn't get results, he gets criticised, Jim, yeah?
Again, is that not just the scattergun effect? He has been up here. I mean, I know you're probably maybe going to point the finger at Farwell, I know, but teams take a time to settle, to get into a way of playing. I know it's Glasgow Rangers and you're probably not going to get that time, but they do need time to settle down into a way of things. Maybe things are beginning to get a wee bit better for us now, but as you say, every game's going to be his last game if he doesn't win it.
Aye, you need to win football matches, mate, particularly our club, you know. You need to win football matches. Look, Christopher, results have ended the honeymoon spell for the manager. You know, because that's the reality. We can't lie for that. And because the manager's honeymoon periods ended quite quickly, people are questioning the guy who was maybe the main instigator and bring him into the club, the CEO. So he'll get criticised as well. But the investors, that's going to take time to see where that goes, because they only came in June, mate. It only happened in June. Yeah, it was only finalised, so we'll see where we go, mate. But you're right, the honeymoon's definitely ended for the manager.
Would it be fair to say?
Wait a minute, Jim. Let Christopher come in.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. Sorry, Paul.
That's not a problem. Would it not be fair to say, just to flip this and say, that Russell Martin never really had a honeymoon period because the fan base didn't want him to start with? Would that be fair?
Well, that's true. One swallow doesn't make a honeymoon, mate. Yeah, I get it, mate. Yeah, I get it, mate. He wasn't a popular choice, so he was maybe behind the 8 ball for the start, Jim, and you come then, Robert.
I think he knows it himself, because he's come out with it and said about it a few times that he didn't want me in the first place. But again, I'm a wee bit kind of hangry with the honeymoon being out for the new owners. I don't think they've really done anything wrong. They've invested in the club. They've invested in the playing staff. I know people are going to say, but it's money they brought in for people. But again, that person who's put in that position to sell these players on has done his job. He's possibly brought in 20 odd million. So something we've agreed about the last 2 or 3 seasons, letting players walk away for nothing. So again, I think we've been a bit hard on the new regime, the new, saying that the honeymoon's over. Don't think the honeymoon's over for the new regime. It could possibly be over for the manager. But as Christopher says, was there ever a honeymoon period there for him?
Christopher, I'll be honest, mate. I'll be honest and say that I don't think a manager should have a honeymoon period. For me, as soon as they get appointed a manager and they come in day one of the job, honeymoon's over. It's time to get to work. Obviously, we've done some stuff in the background, having the interviews and things like that. But as soon as you're appointed as a manager, it's all hands on deck. Let's look at recruitment. Let's look at the players we've got. How can we improve the squad? So I don't think a manager's got a honeymoon period, and I don't think they should have a honeymoon period. These new owners, they come in, they've backed the team, they've backed the manager. We've spent the most we've spent in recent transfer windows. We've generated income. We've been able to improve the stadium. They're going to look at other things around the club, both at Ibrox and the training ground. They'll have time to do what they want to do with their ambitions. I think Jim's right. We look at everything else as it comes because of the results. That we'll look at every single person involved. Stuart, I think, gets it because he's been there. He's overseen all these changes. Thelwell gets it because the recruitment doesn't look good when the results aren't going well, which then makes it look like the manager's not doing well because it's results. So it's all that ladder pyramid. One's not doing well, none of them will be doing well.
Christopher?
Yeah, I get what you guys are saying, and things like that. Ultimately, time's going to be the true teller of all this. But I'll just look at this job in general, the Rangers job. I'll just look at it from this perspective of we need to give somebody, whoever it is, the time to do the job properly. This isn't a quick fix. This isn't come in and do a 6-month job and everything's fixed. This needs somebody to come in and do 2-3 years. Now, do I think Russell Martin's that man? No, I don't. But got to be a time where we've got to give somebody the chance to come in and do a proper job and give them that. Obviously, they've got to get results and progress and things like that in the meantime. But this chopping and changing of managers every 9 months, 6-9 months, it's not sustainable. And I get people say you can keep sacking managers. Yes, you can. You can sack managers every 3 months if you want. But what you then do is you start diluting the job to people. Then you start getting the mercenary managers and things like that.
All right, we'll be joined by Josh. Evening, Josh.
Good evening, guys. Loving the discussion. What I would say to Christopher, who is very knowledgeable, and I've heard him quite a few times now, but what I will say to you is, unfortunately, in Scotland, we don't get, the manager doesn't get all that much time, especially when you've had an easy start to the season and you don't perform against Motherwell, St Mirren and Dundee, and then you don't take advantage of a very, 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 very poor Celtic. Added to that, the embarrassment of Bruges home and away. It's a wonder why the support didn't want them in the first place. With all this happening, probably another manager going to go tonight or tomorrow morning at Jimmy Tilleen, because Dundee United winning 2-0. So
I was
if you don't get
that, Josh, and I wanted to watch it later.
Oh, sorry. No bother.
Josh, what are you watching on your telly, mate?
Huh?
What are you watching?
Nothing. My telly's off. My telly's off. I've got it on the BBC Sport thing with the results that come through. I don't watch any football except Rangers. I don't watch Celtic thoroughly. I don't watch Dundee United or Aberdeen either. It's only my BBC Sport that gives us the results. I'm only interested in Rangers. Watch the odd Champions League final game or whatever with my dad, but that's about it. But apart from that, Scottish football, I don't watch it apart from Rangers. No interested in it. We're in my head's frazzled with my own type, with what our clubs and the mess that's in the now. And we've got a European game on Thursday, and then Livingston we've got on Sunday. So we need to start getting the 3 points and beating these teams like Livingston and that.
Yeah.
And hopefully...
I think the problem is, with Christopher mentioned honeymoon there, Josh, and you picked up on it, mate. You're right, people look at the budget. Motherwell with a new manager. So if we looked at that game in isolation, yeah, we come back to a European tie. We know that, rank time of the season, we know all that, we accept all that. But they played with a freshness that we didn't play with, and that's where the criticism come from. So the honeymoon maybe need that date for Park for a manager in reality. Yeah, and that's fair, Robert, isn't it?
It's fair to say, mate, but I still stick to what I said earlier on. I don't think a manager should get a honeymoon period at all. As I said, they come in day one. It's time to get to work, know your players, how can we improve, who needs to move on, how we're going to set up. And I don't see how they can get a honeymoon period of, right, okay, first couple of games, we'll see how it goes. Not at this club. As Christopher said, they need to come in and, you've got to give managers time to do things, but at the same time, it's a results-driven business, as we know, and we're just going to keep going round in circles if we don't give managers time, but you can't just allow what we've seen to continue. We've got a result on Saturday, and we hope we get a result come Thursday and Sunday. And maybe then you go, right, okay, maybe it's just starting to click. But then it's not the if the result goes against us, it's the when. How do we bounce back from that? How do the players react? How does the manager react? How do the fans react? And it's a very precautious position we're in, given of what we've had in the games we've seen already this season. It's simply not been good enough up until against Sunday. You take Saturday, sorry, I keep saying Sunday. They take the result on Saturday in isolation. Good performance, good result, move on to the next game. And then you see what happens in that game. So I don't believe in the honeymoon period for a manager, mate. It's day one, get to work.
Oh, he's a top man, isn't he? He's a top man, Jim.
No, he's 100% right. You know yourself. You're not getting the time up here. Either of the top two clubs. It's just the demand. It's the demands that I think it come with the job up here. I think.
Aye. So, what was your take on it? Obviously, you made the point, Chris, that a lot of the support didn't want Russell Martin, yeah. So he wouldn't be the first choice. I think that would be fair. So, but if he'd got results, people might have been saying, well, all right, okay. Walter Smith, when Graham Souness left, wouldn't have been a lot of people's first choice. But if you get results, people look at it differently. And it'd be interesting to see if history would have been different if Aberdeen had won that game at Ibrox back in 89. Yeah, 89, is that right? 89. Was that one? I think it was. No, it wasn't. It was after that one. 91. 91, maybe.
92, I think. 92 was
it. Right. 91, because 92 was the Marseille season. 92, 93 was the Marseille season.
Oh,
yeah. But anyway, right, so, you know, if you get results and you win big games and you win the crucial games, things are looked at differently, but we didn't get a good start. So therein, if Russell Martin had been successful and with us 2 seasons and had this start of the season, he'd been under pressure, even if he'd done well in the past, because they running results aren't acceptable. And it's as simple as that for me, Christopher. No, he's here 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 years. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the start has been crap, and I don't think any of us predicted that we'll get that kind of start, which was quite frankly disgraceful. But I think there's been a bit of lag from the back end of last season when we were conceding 2 goals a game. I think that's just lagged on to this season, regrettably. But when you look at the candidates who were there, and it comes back to this again about the candidates who were actually in for the job, who was really the compelling candidate that the fans would have got behind? Ancelotti, well, he was an unknown quantity. Yeah, I think he would have been a risk. Russell Martin, you had a couple of other names. You even look at some of the names that's getting touted at the minute. Gary O'Neill, Gerrard. Gerrard's not got the mystique and the glamour that he had when he came in 2018, Gerrard. So you look at it, there's not really that well for... Of course, we can aim for the moon, the Nuno Espirito Santos and Jose Mourinho's, but to be fair, they're pipe dreams.
Well, I think Jose's just went back to Benfica, mate.
Yeah, that makes him definitely a pipe dream. No, he's not leaving Benfica to come to Rangers. That's for certain. That's for certainty. But you look at the candidates and you look at them. Gary O'Neill. It goes back to who is the real compelling candidate. I mean, people maybe say we should have went for McInnes. Probably got a point there. We should have maybe went for him. That's probably our club's arrogance to Scottish talent again going against us. But it's a hard one. I think it's probably one of the toughest jobs to do is get the manager right for this football club. What I will say is, whoever comes in and gets this club right, whoever the manager is, they'll be looked upon for decades. So I think from that perspective, it is an attractive job if you can turn it round.
Anyway, talking about attractive, we'll be joined by Smurf.
Have you seen the clip I'm in the new? Honest to God. It's so well, mate. So you've through me. Anyway, no, I've just phoned it up. But irrespective of managers and whatnot, I just wanted to ask you, Ox, really what you thought about this. The amount of loan signs we've brought in, I find worrying. We've got 3 loan defenders. Suitor's on his way out. We don't know how that's going to be resolved. And so we're going to finish the season in a situation that we start the season in. Obviously we've sold players.
I think Cornelius is alone with an option to buy. He's different for the 2 young ones. And obviously Aaron's. Look, I love my mate Albert, but I see Aaron's as a different proposition.
Yeah.
What I've seen with Aaron, I'd send him back.
Aye, in January. Aye, if you can. Aye. No, I get that. And you know, you look at Sterling. Look, Tav's probably playing in his last season, right? Sterling, if you can sell him, you would take your money because he's never fit.
Because he's injury record, mate, aye.
Aye, of course, he's got 100. No, his ability. He's a good player, tidy player, steady player, and I like him as a player. He's my type of player, but never available for his work. Aaron's, forget it. So you've got 3 right backs potentially going out the door. You've got Cornelius for an option. You've got Giga.
Good back.
Aye, whatever. Going back. You've got the young left back going back. And you've perhaps go Soapy Suitor. He's in his last year. You don't know what he's going to do. So
he's in control. He's in control of the club.
And this is the thing. I mean, I was looking at it today about. It sort of intrigues me with this. They don't call it financial fair play now. They call it. They call it profit and sustainability. You know, because it sounds less accusatory, but really, the way contracts are structured now, really, if you want to sell a player on for a profit, if you're in, you know, very few clubs on the luxury where they're not really bothered about selling players and making money because they're so rich. But if you want to make money, you really got to get a guy out the door when he's got 2 years in his contract, because as soon as they get into that last year, they're in control.
I get it, but there's a couple of questions there, mate. Look, I understand why we bring people on loan. And a loan to buy, I don't think it's a bad thing if you get it right. You're trying before you buy. Maybe we could have saved ourselves money in the past, but we needed defenders in. Maybe they prioritised the other thing. It's too many, you're right. But you don't know who will sign in January, which is not that far away now. It's mental, Robert. But I get Smurf's point, and it's a valid one.
It is. It's extremely valid. Especially the fact that when you look at it as well, we spoke about balance earlier on. We've only got 1 left back in the squad, in young Jaden Magoma. If he gets injured, then you're resting your laurels on Aaron's or Tavernier going into that left back spot. I know Cornelius can shift over, but from what we've seen, he looks more comfortable at centre back, and I think he's got the assets to be a good centre half. But it is worrying when you do look at it. As Smurf says, you break it down, you then basically start a season of recruitment of, right, well, we need defenders in every single position. You've not got a person to build around in that back line. So potentially your whole recruitment, whether it be January or the summer, will be based on defenders. And that was one thing that was probably noticeable this summer, was it was all mainly attacking players, midfielders to front, bar the guys we did bring on loan. But then when they do go back, you are then starting again with a fresh back line, which arguably we probably need, Ox. I do like the loan market when it does work. I prefer the loan to an option to buy, if I'm being honest, because it does give you that option. If it works out, or if it doesn't, then you're not wasting your money. What I don't like is when you have just a straight loan, the player does well, and they go back. So you're building another team's player up, kind of like Mikey Moore, but obviously he's not done anything. But if we had progressed him into a better player, then he goes back to Tottenham, and we get nothing in return. Do you know what I mean? So at times the loan market can work, But in relation to defence, it is worrying because it is, as I said, the foundations of your team, and you're going to be starting next season with effectively no defence to build around already in place.
What I will say, Smith, and I'll bring Jim in after this point. If Smith's worked it out, and I've worked it out, we ain't no rocket scientists. I think you would agree with that, Smith. You'd like to think the people who are in charge of the recruitment and the personnel at our club have worked that out, and they're then looking to put place things for January to bring players in, maybe know them all, maybe one, maybe two, and maybe looking to get pre-contract signed, and then looking at your targets for next year, because it never stops. And you're right, they should be looking at it. Jim, then Smith back in before we go back to Josh.
All right, Smith. It was something that I kind of kept a wee close eye on at the start of the season and on. I think I brought it up a couple of times regarding the whole back line. Either gone, or they are gone, or they were on loan. But as we said there, the option to buy kind of gives you a bit of pull. But if they're no working on that now, then they're neglecting their duty, as you said there, Ops. They've got to be working on that. Because at the start of next season, they could be wiped out the whole even the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper could possibly go on off. Oh, it's we kind of choose where to kind of sort out in the team, i.e. midfield to front, and weren't they looking at the back?
Come back in, Smith, and then we'll go to Josh.
I mean, you're in a situation, like we say, come the end of the season, no right backs, no left back. Cornelius might turn against it and go, I'm not going to stay. You've got Jiga's going to go back. And see Soapy Suter, see come January, see if you get a bid in for him and he's not signed a contract. You've got to take it. You've got to take it. And then on top of that, I mean, this is the basket case. These people, coming in and supposedly all over it. It's going to be Chinese days. They've left us in a worse state than they took her. And you've got that boy that brought in for $8 million. 20 minutes of football or something he's played in a year. I mean, I don't know. It's just stuff. I can't get my head around any of it. And that's no other manager. There's incompetence at every level. See that guy that's bought the club, Cavana? He's had a pair of knickers pulled in his eyes. Telling you now. And see when the blinkers come off, he's got to wake up and smell the coffee and take action. How we could begin to a situation next season where we've literally starting the season with no defence. Name. You're going to need to buy 4 fullbacks and 3 or 4 centre halves potentially.
Aye.
Smurf, can I ask something there?
On you go, mate.
Smurf, who's pulled the knickers out his eyes? Who's actually done that?
Well, but the people that they've gave a job to, you get Patrick Stewart for a start, right? He's presided over this. Culpable and incompetent. That's why he got a sack with Man United. For years, incompetence. And the guy that came in for Everton, he's the guy that's identifying the players. I think he's done a good job there. It's a disgrace.
No, but I asked a question earlier on there regarding the Patrick Stewart character, and I was told that he was put in with him. So I find it hard how Patrick Stewart's going to pull the neck.
He has, but he has.
Pull the neck of who his employees.
Of course he has. Of course he has. Because they've given him a job on the strength of his background. And he then, in turn, employs the football department. So the fact is he's failed. The people he's employing are not up to par. So it's his failure. If I give you a job, I'm working for Oxfordshire.
So why are the Americans don't sack the manager then?
It's not the manager to sack, is it? You've got to sack. You've got to get rid of them all. It's incompetence at every level.
Well, I'm going to be. I'm not trying to be higby here, but if the football department and the players on the park, or the team on the park, is going to dictate how much money they guys are making. So I find it hard to believe how the football department, or i.e. the managers, no get a big thing to say in it. That's what I'm saying. So why have they no sacked the manager?
I don't think you're following what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Patrick Stewart ultimately is responsible for employing the footballing department in its entirety, right? Patrick Stewart employed the guy for Everton, can't mind his name, and
Thelwell.
they two together, Thelwell, and they two together employed and selected the manager, right? It's a collective disaster. That's what it is. It's a disaster.
I don't think Thelwell was started. I think Everton gave him time to help out in the recruitment, mate. Yeah, but he hadn't really started. Look, they might have made a mistake, mate, and it happens in all walks of life, mate. But there's two different arguments. There's two different factors. Whether you think, well, there's a few different factors. I'll come back to Josh. But there's the Patrick Stewart debate. There's whether they gave the right man to the job as manager, and whether you think Thelwell's been successful ins and outs. Because there's ins and outs. Yeah, that's a different. That's up for debate as well, and it'll be interesting to see where he is, what we think of him in the next one day, because then the people in charge of the club have got to. They're the ones that hold the purse strings, and they'll decide how much support they want to give him going forward, because he's in charge of the recruitment. Josh, can you come, mate?
You've got a good point there, Ox. Will Stewart and Russell Martin be there for Christmas? But the thing, the looks of things, the way we're playing football, we've only had one decent game all season. That's the Hibs game, the Cup quarter final. I don't think so. So I wouldn't really worry about it. But we've been mismanaged since Walter Smith Walter Smith was the manager in 2011. We've had 12 managers in 15 years. That's absolutely scandalous and diabolical, and absolutely dysfunctional for a club our size. We've been mismanaged the whole way through, and this is a culmination of it. Us fans talking about
how many managers of Real Madrid had in that period, mate?
But I'm not interested in Real Madrid. I'm interested in no disrespect, but I'm interested in Rangers Football Club. There's been no, if you don't have a structure and you don't have foundations, everything's going to go falling down, and that's what we've had. Even when Clement was there was nobody up the stair.
So
only that guy.
It's not the manager that's important; it's the foundations under him.
You need good people at the back of you as well. Like Stewart isn't the person that I would have appointed. Why? What if it was that good? Why did Manchester United get rid of him? So there's been blunders, and most of the fans don't want. Or did they want Russell Martin?
Who would you appointed instead of Patrick Stewart?
I don't really know. I don't really know
the answer to that question, but it's a question. Interesting, Robert.
It is. I take Smurf's point on board, because, as I said earlier, if one guy's not doing well, when it starts with the manager, if the team's not performing, it's down to the manager. And then you look at the recruitment, then you look at the guy above him, and it's just that pyramid. As I said, if it's going well, it looks well. If it's going wrong, everybody's under scrutiny. Everybody's questioned about the recruitment of players, recruitment of staff. It's just part of football. So I take Smurf's point on board that you have to look at everything collectively. And as I say, that's just what the way football is. You're not going to be able to do well. We'll not give the manager the kind of the dagger because he was employed. We'll look at the guy above him. You take him as a collective. what I would ask Smurf is, if you had one choice to replace one of the guys that you've mentioned, what's your first move? Hawks asked us this last week. Personally, I said it would be the manager, but then you're asking two guys that you're not trusting already with recruitment to then reanalyze the managerial position. So you're already not trusting them, but then you're kind of basing your laurels on that they'll get it right the next time.
Let me answer this, right. See, the way I look at it, you've got Patrick Stewart has come for a club that's a basket case. And he's been mired in a basket case of a club for years. When Fergie was there at the tail end of his tenure, Man U was a basket case then. Right? So he's comfortable in that chaos. And it may have been a positive factor in them getting hired because of the similarities of the state of your club, right? But also, the flip side of that is maybe he was part of the problem with Man U. Either here or there. I don't think I would have taken a guy for a club like that. I would have went to somewhere, something that looks good, a picture, or something that I would want my club to be, a blueprint, right? Maybe somewhere, and you might laugh at this, one of the best run clubs in Britain, Spurs, right? And I went and looked at what they're doing and maybe their personnel. I wouldn't have went to Man U. That's the last place I would have went. Everton, basket case. Absolute basket case. And the coin's going to turn forever now that they're in that new ground. More revenue, etc., right?
And they've got a manager that's a better fit for them, mate. I think that's the problem. We don't have a manager that is a good fit for us.
So we've got Oil the Gaff. We've got you've got Thelwell, who's in a club mired in drama, basket case, a different club with Patrick Stewart. You're not wanting that. You're wanting people coming for successful clubs. And success isn't always winning trophies. It's the books are balanced, everything's done on point, the way Spurs is. And you go forward for there. In terms of the manager, if somebody had said to me, Russell Martin, I'd felt a bit laughing. I thought it would have been joking. And he's the first one I would change. But unfortunately, these guys above him that are supporting him have come from clubs where they're used to the prevailing culture is backing a failing manager. Because the overall culture at these clubs was failing, the basket case. So they'll be comfortable.
So how are you judging Spurs? How are you judging Spurs to be so successful then?
Well, Spurs,
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that myself.
They've won one trophy in when was it? 2008. 2008 to 2025. 17 years without a trophy.
No, I get that, but they're not playing in the SPFL either, right? They've kept their ducks in a row.
Trophy, mate.
They're no mired.
Trophy.
They're no mired in controversy. They've got the best stadium. They've got the best fitness stadium in the planet. So they have.
I totally disagree. I think Liverpool's in a better state. Liverpool football club's in a better state than Spurs.
You're also, let's be honest, you're not going to get people for their clubs. You're not going to pull people if they're successful.
No, I get that.
You are saying you're not going to get them because you're not going to match their salaries. Robert, and you come.
No, I know.
Then Jim.
No, I get what Smurf's saying, and it's always hard to look at the likes of Liverpool and Spurs and compare ourselves. Globally, big name teams, we're probably even par, but we need to be realistic about where we are as well in Scottish football. As Smurf said, they're not in Scottish football, so success to them is completely different. I don't see Spurs being successful in one what, 2 trophies in 17 years. That's not success for me. I'd rather have more success up here in our league than what they play for. And I think all their fans have that. It's the expectations of the club on their own. So if it wasn't Patrick Stewart, as I said, who would it be? Don't know. I don't think any of us in here could name another director of football that could come in and have done a job. I'm not saying there's no better options out there. Personally, I just don't know a name that I could bring to mind could say could come in, because there's people who become directors of football over time. They build themselves up in academies and coaching roles and scouts, etc., and they become a director of football. Davy Weir, for example, he was here as assistant manager, becomes a director of football at Brighton, and their recruitment's been good. Is that successful to them? Maybe, but they've not got a trophy to show for it. But it's their expectations. So each club has a different level of success and what their expectations is. And ours in Scotland is one of the big 2, and arguably should be the big one. We've not had success to show for it. So again, everything comes under scrutiny because of what we've seen and how we've been managed in the past to now.
What I'm trying to say is that, see, off the park, Spurs have been very, very competent for years. Daniel Levy, right, who almost was at Ibrox when Joe Louis had invested in Rangers, right, had a picture in his head for that club, and he's delivered the best stadium in the world for football. That's a fact. Been in all the stadiums in Britain with my Joe, right. Oh, just a point, Jim. See what you were saying. I think you think Liverpool's a bit better club, better run club. Nobody's disputing that. I never said the word the best. I'm just saying as a blueprint, right, for a club to be well run, to have its infrastructure in place, to balance its books, to have its recruitment good. Success looks different for Spurs. You know, it wasn't that long ago that we were playing in a stadium that had less than 40,000 people in it. Do you get my point? If you just read into what I'm saying and just think a wee bit, then 5 years ago, whenever it was, Spurs were playing in a stadium that only held 36,000 people, mate. So they couldn't compete financially to win trophies.
Spurs fans will disagree with you. You said that to them.
Sorry?
Because they didn't. I think with respect, I think the Tottenham Hotspur supporters hated years ago because he's toxic, and the final nail in the coffin was sacking Postecoglou when they win the Europa.
It might have well been, but the fact is he's delivered the best stadium in the world, fittest stadium in the world, mate. For a 36,000 seater dump, they wouldn't have got now. He's taken the different stratosphere.
It's how you judge success. I don't know if our punters would want to pay the prices it is to get in there, mate, if I'm honest.
Aye.
Aye. And the price of the pint. Do you see that today? Cheltenham Festival announced they're bringing the pints down by 30 pence to £7.50. There you go. That was great news. Help inflation, that will. Anyway, we digress. Interesting stuff, Christopher.
Yes, indeed. In regards to the point about the loans, what I would say is we shouldn't be running a club like an English League 2 club. We should only be looking at one loan with an option to buy no more than one more loan, because we've left ourselves in a right mess. In terms of looking at Patrick Stewart, in terms of clubs that they've came from, they've came from clubs that are were in the doldrums. Man United was an absolute basket case of a club. Everton were under FFP restrictions when Fairwell went in there, so they had a bit of a basket case situation. I think you've got to get the best in class. Now, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that we can go and get Mike Edwards out of Liverpool. I'm not suggesting that. But what I'm saying is get the best in class that you can afford, who have come from a club that have run quite well. For example, Davy Weir out of Everton would have been a prime example due to how Brighton's run. But to bring Patrick Stewart in and people like that...
Davy Weir doing at Everton, mate? He wasn't doing recruitment. I think his job was actually... he was involved with the youth to the progression of people and their development. I don't know if he was totally in charge of recruitment. It's no apples for apples, mate.
Yeah, I was just using like David Weir as an example in terms of that. I know Chelsea taking a couple of their recruitment guys to Chelsea with them.
All right, mate. All right. And you come, Jim Bond.
Aye, it's kind of interesting early conversations there. As I'm saying, I think we can all agree that if the guys that we were talking about there, the clubs had been successful, there's no danger they would have been here. I.e., the same as David Weir getting mentioned there, and I don't know. It's mental. It's absolute mental. Again, I still don't think
Can I just
why they've
cut
no
across
sacked
it?
the manager.
Somebody's got their telly on. Can they turn it off? Because it's going right through the show. Whoever's got their telly on. No, don't lie. Just turn your telly off. We don't like liars, do we? Right, carry on, Jim.
As I said there, I don't think you guys would have been here if they had been at successful clubs.
If you're talking about the EPL, rightly or wrongly, mate, we couldn't match their salaries. And I'm not talking about a couple of grand a week more. It'd be 20, 30, 40, 50,000 pound a week more, mate. And in reality, who's going to walk away for 2.5 million? I know Bridgman's been tapped up the sky, but he's a loyal kind of guy. Yeah, you know, but it doesn't happen that often, Robert, does it? People don't walk away for that kind of dough.
No, and that's the modern game again, Ox. It's all money driven. Nobody moves job because they're attracted to what a team can bring or what they can do with their development in terms of how they can progress their careers and how they can progress a club. It's all about how much are you paying me? What's the bonuses? It's all money driven. Same with players. Same with all members of staff in every football club. What's the pay packet? And that's the modern day we're in. It's the same when it comes to contracts that Smith mentioned earlier on. Contracts are all money based now, agent fees, and it's the exact same for staff. The first question is, okay, how long and how much money? No interest in, okay, what's the ambitions of this club? What's your expectations of me? What do you want me to do with this club? Where can we go? It's all money based, and that's just the way it is now, mate. And it's going to continue that way for years.
Same on here, mate. You know how Jim's not been on for the last couple of weeks. Contractual issues. We were arguing his wages.
I think me and Smurf had that same virus, I think.
Right, okay. Listen, it's been interesting, right? We went for the football to timekeeping to referees to having a pounding at Jim. Smurf's coming in with his points, Christopher with his, and Josh with his. The last word for your good self, the one and only Smurf.
Aye, thanks for keeping my mind off my virus.
Man up.
Oh, I know, man flu, eh? But no, it's been good talking to you lads, and aye, I'm away for a limb sit. Take it easy. Good night.
Gary Peter Levis. Here's all.
Take care, Smurf.
Josh and Christopher are still with us. Josh?
Yeah, it was good discussion. Chat with the lads again. All we want is our club to do well, successful. Yeah. Hopefully we can get on a positive side. So good night, lads.
Cheers, mate. Take it easy. Always good to hear from you, mate. I think Christopher's left us, but good. Thanks, Christopher, for sparking a lot of debate this evening. Good, Jim.
Aye, a wee bit of bad news tonight. That's us back 11th again, lads, unfortunately.
Oh, well. We just need to win, mate, and keep winning.
You're right. Aye, we need to win, aye. Actually frightening when you look above us, man, and the points that the other ones have all got.
Just winning Sunday, mate. Winning Sunday. Take it for there, mate, yeah?
Right. That's it. One game at a time.
Winning Sunday. Anyway, cheers, mate. Enjoyed your company.
Yeah, brother. Fantastic, by the way. Fantastic night again, boys. Well done, Ox. Well done, Robert.
Or Robert.
That was a good show tonight, mate. The joy of this show, you never know how it's going to go. As you said, we've spoke about the game, off the park situations, referees, and we'll see what it takes us in the next show tomorrow night. Good to be on with Jim and yourself, of course. And as you say, one game at a time, and not to look too far ahead over Sunday, but we've got a game Thursday night, as I said earlier in the show. Favourable tie against Genk. Home to Ibrox. Hopefully we get a good crowd for that, mate. Have the atmosphere back in under the lights, European nights, and get a good start to Europa League, and then focus on the league come Sunday. But good show, mate. Enjoyed that tonight.
Yes, as I said, thanks to Smith, Josh, Christopher for joining us. Your good self, Robert, and of course our Jim. Thanks to Fox and Old School Blue for getting the technicals. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night between 8 and 10 talking about all things Rangers as we really start trying to build up a massive European tie at Ibrox. Take it away, Old School Blue.
Everybody still there, aye?